Folks, it gives me great honor to introduce one of the most finest Americans I've met after 42 years of being in this country myself. And I'll tell you what, if there is a warrior, if there is a fighter who will fight for your rights, fight for this country, fight for everybody in this room and your children and grandchildren, it's none other than Mike Coffman, our Congressman.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you. I'll just do it right here. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. Thanks. Thanks. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks. Well, I think that's a recognition of how tough this race is. It is. If you look at Cook, there's three entities that rank races national races, and so one is the Cook Political Report, one is the Rothenberg Political Report, and the other one I think is Sabato, if I'm saying it right, University of Virginia. And so in all three rankings, there's only one Republican that is in the pure toss-up column in all three, and that's me. And so it's an expensive race. It's a very tough race, but it's certainly a winnable race, and I'm very excited about it. This is really the first time that I'll be running for re-election in arguably what is a new district. And 40% of it is brand new, central and North Aurora, and then up into Adams County. And it's a very exciting district, and I think we were talking earlier, 120 different languages taught in Aurora Public Schools. It is probably one of the most diverse districts in the country. And so I've certainly spent a lot of time. I still have a Spanish lesson tonight, which people wonder why I look tired. But I want to speak. I think it's very important for me as a Republican to speak directly to Hispanics in their own language, because what I find is when the filter is there through the activist groups that are anything but conservative, that we need to get the message out directly to them. And they're different than other immigrant groups, that they don't tend to come together. They tend to get into a community, they tend to get their information through Spanish language TV and Spanish language radio and Spanish language newspapers. So it's very interesting. So I'm picking, now that I can read Spanish, I was reading this El Comercio, I think probably one of the larger Spanish language newspapers. And there was a whole page dedicated to me. And oh my God, it was horrible. It was just horrible. I couldn't believe the things that they were saying, that the SEIU union would just put in there, and they would take and they would publish. They wouldn't even call us up for a response. And so I went and visited him probably a month or so ago. And so I tried to do it did most of it in Spanish, but did some of it in English. I think that but they were so impressed that I tried. They were so impressed that I tried, so that at the next edition, it was Coffman ayuda familias. Coffman helps families. And there was a glowing article. And so what do they say? 99% of life is showing up. And the great South Asian population in the district. Aurora is half the population in the district. Aurora is half minority. And out of those minority populations, most of them are immigrant populations that are relatively new to the United States. Very large Asian immigrant population. Koreans, probably largest, led by, second Vietnamese, and then on down. Taiwanese, Chinese pretty large. But what is great is I'm always in their newspapers now. And so, but it's in their language. I don't understand what they're saying about me, but my picture's there, and I think it's positive. I think it's positive. But and a big African immigrant community. And so, last night I was at a Nigerian event, and they are so impressive. Number one, because the narrative on Republicans so often is we're anti-immigrant. And I think we're not. We're not happy about illegal immigration, that's for sure. But we're not anti-immigrant, and we don't want to project that message. And so they are just they are in awe to see a Republican member of Congress and I was the only elected official at that event, show up and be there, not just, I mean, and I've been doing this since, I've been a member of Congress for this district since January of last year, going to these events. Ethiopians, they're centered around their churches. And they have some incredibly large churches. It's amazing. In Aurora. They took over that one YMCA off Alameda, right? And converted that into a church. And so I was going to one church, and they had a section in the front, 45 minutes of music. Holy smokes, 45 minutes of music. And so they started out, you know, it's pretty Western, and they really dressed up to go to church. And then, but as they got into the music more and more, then the drums came out, and you know, these horns came out. It was it was great, and it was all in their language. But again, they were so impressed that I was there, that I cared enough to be their congressman, that I wanted to be seen as their congressman. And so I think it's very important to do that. I just want to say first that my wife is not able to make it. Cynthia's not able to be here tonight. She's in Las Vegas, of all things. Don't ask me. It is, what is that statement? Well, she's there because it's a lawyers' meeting, Republican lawyers' meeting there. And I hope she's not gambling. And I hope she's raising some money, though, from these folks for her race for Attorney General. And I can tell you that the race for Attorney General has, in my view, the differences between a Republican and Democrat never been clearer in the history of the state of Colorado, in the history of this state. She believes that the role of the Attorney General is to defend the law, to follow the law. And her opponent believes that the role of the Attorney General is to pick and choose what laws will be defended. And it's the Eric Holder style of justice, and it's wrong. And so support my wife for Attorney General. Let me just cover a couple quick points. One is that as Obamacare was moving through the Congress, Senator Grassley put on an amendment. And his amendment said that every man, I'm surprised he got it on. I think they thought it would go to a conference committee and they'd take it off. And because they were one vote short because of the death of Edward Kennedy and the election of Scott Brown, they couldn't go, they didn't have the votes without getting into procedures anyway, so they couldn't go through conference committee, so the amendment stayed on. And the amendment said this, that all members of Congress should buy a policy under Obamacare through an insurance exchange without a taxpayer subsidy. And I fault the Congress as an institution from working with the White House on this and getting a waiver from the president, as he does to all special interest groups. And so I followed the law. And I bought my policy. I dropped out of the federal plan, and I bought my policy through my Colorado Insurance Exchange without a subsidy. My premium stayed, oh, thank you. My premium stayed about the same, but my deductible went from $350 to $4,500, and between $4,500 and $6,200, I'm responsible for 40% of that, and my co-pays went from $20 to $60. If every member of Congress did what I did, that they abided by the very laws, rules, and regulations that they impose upon the American people, and followed the Grassley Amendment as written, Obamacare would not be with us today as it is. Obamacare would not be with us today as it is. I've introduced a bill on pre-existing conditions that is written because I think the American people have to know what is going to be in its place. If in fact, so the way this law is written, or my proposal, is in the event that Obamacare is repealed, we will have these pre-existing protections there for the American people. This law will take in place immediately upon the appeal of Obamacare. We've got other bills like that, and so they will be voted on when we come back after recess. Let me just, one quick point about the veterans' health care. As someone who served in both the Army and the Marine Corps, combat veteran, I'm very concerned about honoring our obligations to those who have made sacrifices in defense of our freedom. And so I was on the, I'm a subcommittee chairman on the House Veterans Affairs Committee, and I was involved, I was a conferee on our conference committee to resolve the differences between the House and the Senate. And God help me if I ever have to work with Bernie Sanders again. God bless him, but holy smokes, is he out there? And he's an avowed socialist. I think he calls himself a democratic socialist or a social democrat or something like that. He just happens to caucus with the Democrats. He's to the left of the Democrats, but he happens to be chairman of that committee, and he believes that the VA system is the template for the future of American healthcare, because it's a government-run, socialized system. So this is compromise, and what I fought for on this committee, on this conference committee, was one issue, and that was that veterans have a choice. That veterans be able to access, if in fact they can't get an appointment within a reasonable wait time, or they live within in excess of 40 miles from a veterans facility, that they have access to a private provider reimbursed by the VA. Now, what I had to stomach was more spending in the existing system. So there was spending to fund that, and then, but there were more folks funded, and there's a lot of good people that work for the Veterans Administration, and a lot of them came forward as whistleblowers. And without those whistleblowers, we would never know the depth of the problems from the leadership at the VA. And I was the first in the House to call from the resignation of Secretary Shinseki, and God bless him for his service in the United States Army, but it wasn't there for him in the Veterans Administration. Lastly, I just want to say to NAIRA, thank you for all you do. I was able to go to India and study as an undergraduate student, and under the GI Bill. Don't ask me how I pulled that off. But I took a leave of absence from the Army Reserve, and I think I never thought I'd make a career out of the military. And so I ended up taking an academic year off. Half of it I spent at Vaishnav College in Madras, India, which is now no longer Madras. It's got another name, Chennai. And then spent the second semester in going to University of Veracruz in Mexico. And for that, according to Army math, they added 2 years instead of my 1 to make up for it. But I love India, the beauty that is India, and I think America has to have a stronger relationship with India, the largest democracy in the world, that we share so many of the same values as we do with the people of India, and we need them. We need them as a counterbalance for some of the threats that we have coming from their neighboring country to the north, to the northwest, in Pakistan and China. That's the reality, the geopolitical reality of that environment. Well, God bless you. I need your help on this campaign. It is a tough one, but we're going to win it. Thank you.